Welcome to this video. This is your boy Jon Belcher, aka Discreet. What we about to be talking about in this video is something that's crazy, something that's interesting, something that I feel that they lied about, they lied to us about, and they think we don't have the common sense to see what's going on. They think we don't have the common sense to peep what's going on. This is Jon Belcher from 300 to Freedom. They didn't think I was going to do this one. They did not think I was going to do this one right here. But without any further ado, what I'm about to do is pull up the presentation, and we're going to discuss a very interesting topic having to do with Muammar Gaddafi. Yes, the Libyan king, the Libyan leader. That's what we're going to be talking about over the course of this presentation. What happened to him? Why was he a threat? How did he come to his downfall? That's what we're going to be talking about in this video. So I'm about to pop up the presentation right now, and we're going to get right into it. Muammar Gaddafi, The War in Libya Explained by Jon Belcher, aka Discreet. Discreet is my stage name. I do make hip-hop music as well. And really quick, make sure to go stream that Forever Blessed. That Forever Blessed project is right here. 10 songs, 10 hip-hop songs. Make sure to go stream that. Go check that out. I also recently dropped a brand new single called Nurses and Doctors, which is going to be on the new album that I'm working on right now. Make sure to go stream that. Discreet, I'm on all digital streaming platforms. YouTube, Apple Music, Spotify, Tidal, Pandora, iTunes. I'm on all of them. You name it, I'm on all of them. Make sure to check that out. Share my music with your friends if you do like my music. Share my music on your Facebook, on your Instagram if you enjoy my music. Mention me on your Instagram if you enjoy my music. I appreciate that. But let's get back into the presentation at hand. Muammar Gaddafi, Death, the War in Libya Explained, because this is going to be a real good presentation right here. We're going to be going into the history of Libya. We're going to be talking about Muammar Gaddafi. We're going to be talking about who Muammar Gaddafi looked up to. We're going to be talking about all that stuff, the U.S., all of that stuff. Let's get into it. So the history of Libya. As you see right here on the map, this is where Libya is located in Africa, in the north region of Africa. That's where Libya is. In the early 20th century, Italy invaded and colonized Libya. For many years, the people of Libya were oppressed, tortured, and even poisoned by the Italians. The Italians is wild, man. They wanted to take over Libya for the simple fact that their ancestors from like 1,000 years ago had claim to the land. They felt their ancestors had claim to their land from like 1,000 years ago. So they came back out of nowhere like, oh, this land right here is rightfully ours. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like if the Indians came back to America today and was like, oh, can you give us back our land? It's that kind of thing, which, you know, I guess you can argue that they probably deserve it. But Gaddafi's father fought against Italian colonizers who felt Libya was rightfully their land in the early 1900s. So Gaddafi had a firsthand experience with his father. You know, that's like a primary source right there of somebody who had to battle against the Italians to defend their land in Libya. In 1951, Libya gained independence from Italy and was greatly depending on economic and political aid from Western countries like the United States and European nations. So in 1951, Libya finally gained independence. They was like, yo, Italy, get the fuck up out of here. We don't need y'all here no more. We don't want y'all here no more. The only problem is after that, they now really had nobody governing. They really had nobody pumping money into the economy. They really had nobody really creating structure within Libya once they became independent, right? So Libya has long been highly fragmented by tribal, ethnic, and regional groups. This has been going on for years and years and years. Libya has had a lot of tension among factions within Libya. And everything that I share with you in this presentation, you could research yourself and you could check it out yourself. None of this information, I mean, some of it is my opinion, but 98% of it is just factual information that you could go look up yourself. You know what I'm saying? So This is the juice right here. I'm giving you the juice. This is the juice right here. Once Libya became independent, it established a monarchy with King Idris I as its ruler. So Libya finally got a monarchy in place where they got a ruler. His name is King Idris I. So this is King Idris I. We're still on the history of Libya. This is all prior to Gaddafi coming into power. You got to understand the background knowledge before Gaddafi got into power for what I'm about to talk to you about, for it to make sense. So that's why I'm going into a little bit of background story of Libya and what was going on at this time. So Gaddafi was only about 10 years old when King Idris I became ruler of Libya. So he's like a little kid, you know. He's not no grown man yet, but he is growing up in Libya, seeing what's going on, hearing what's going on. As Gaddafi got older, he really disliked the way Idris was running Libya. So this is King Idris I right here. This is his picture right here. Gaddafi, as well as many others, felt that the monarch was serving the interests of foreign powers, particularly Western nations, and that a republic would better serve the Libyan people. So Gaddafi's looking at this dude, King Idris, and he's like, yo, man, you a straight up pussy, man. You're a punk, bro. Like, you're allowing these foreign countries to just steal our wealth, and you got them in our pockets, and you're okay with that? Come on, man. What are you really doing? So they looked at, a lot of people in Libya looked at King Idris I as being soft, you know, just there as kind of a puppet, not really ruling, not really protecting, not really defending Libya, but rather just kind of being in bed with the Western nations. That's what people felt in Libya at the time. So just some years after King Idris I rose to power, Libya discovered that they had significant oil reserves. So out of nowhere, Libya was like, oh shit. You know, Libya was like, yo, we got mad oil. You know what I'm saying? Like, Libya finally realized, they're like, yo, we got mad oil in the tuck that we discovered. So why are we allowing these other nations to pimp us out for our oil? It's our oil. So Libya is like, yo, we got this natural resource right here that so many other countries wish they had. So many other countries would damn near die for. So once Libya realized that, it kind of gave them a sense of pride where they're like, yo, nah, we have something of value here. We have something of value here. You can't just come into our country and just steal, take advantage. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what started to become the feelings, and there started to be a notion of pride built in Libya because of this oil. So King Idris I allowed for the U.S. and other nations to have their hands in the pockets of Libya. That's essentially what he did, right? He just said, all right, U.S., you know, we'll have your investors come and do what you please, you know, take oil revenue as you please and whatever else. Especially since the majority of revenue generated from Libyan oil was benefiting Western nations. So Gaddafi wasn't feeling that. He wasn't feeling that with this dude. He's like, yo, this dude's a punk, man. That's how he was feeling. Now, here we get to the rise of Muammar Gaddafi. He was born in Libya in a tent to Arab parents in 1942. Humble beginnings. Humble beginnings. He wasn't born rich or anything like that. He wasn't born to a father that was a king or anything like that. You know, this dude had humble beginnings, really came from nothing for real. And there's speculations on the exact year that he was born, but for the sake of this video, to make it simple, they say he was born anywhere between 38 to 43, right? Between 1938 to 1943, but there were a lot of reports saying that it was 1942. So we're just going to go with he was born in 1942. Gaddafi overthrows King Idris. So let me just fix this right here. Get the grammar right? Don't want to be spelling shit wrong and having my grammar all jacked up as y'all watching this presentation. So if you're liking this presentation right now, if you're liking this vibe, make sure to give me a thumbs up on this video. Drop a comment below. Let me know your thoughts on Gaddafi. Let me know your thoughts on Libya at this time. Let me know what you think. Was he a tyrannical dictator who deserved to get overthrown, or he wasn't? Let me know in the comments. Also, make sure to subscribe to my channel so that you can be notified whenever I make presentations like this. Whenever you like, comment, and subscribe, it really helps my video to get out there on the algorithm on YouTube so that more people can see it. So I will really, really appreciate it if you like, comment, and subscribe. Also, I got my book. My book is either it's out right now at the time of you watching this video, or it's coming out. But I'm going to tell you right now, this book that I'm working on, this book that is either out or it's not out. If you're just watching this video, the minute this video is public, it's not out yet. But I'm letting you know right now, this book right here is going to change the lives of millions of people. This book that I have coming out is going to be available on Amazon. It is going to change the life of millions of people. I'm letting you know right now. Because the manifestation principles in that book is like forbidden information that they really don't want you to have. Like I said, make sure to get that book. It's going to be on Amazon. If it's not on Amazon already, you could just check out all the links in the description below to be able to get access to that, be able to add me on Facebook and stuff like that. Back to the presentation. So how did Gaddafi overthrow King Idris I? Because you got to realize that's crazy. For you to be coming up as a kid to watch this king rule and to have the idea in your mind that one day I'm going to overthrow this dude, you got to admit that's pretty fucking gangster. That's some gangster ass shit right there. Like, that's some G ass shit to do. So Gaddafi convinced all of his peers inside of his secret group to join the military. They orchestrated a bloodless coup against the monarch. So they planned to essentially overthrow the monarch, but do it really with non-violence. So they wanted to do it strategically without any blood really being poured into the streets or anything like that. So Gaddafi's aim wasn't to be violent when it came to this. So they became a group of military officers called the Free Officers Movement and planned to overthrow King Idris I. Big Dog King. Little old Gaddafi trying to overthrow the big dog king. I want you to think about that. Overthrow, not just say, yo, man, let me talk to you. Nah, they was planning to overthrow this dude. They was like, yo, let's get this dude out of here. Let's get this dude out of here. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is some serious planning right here. This is some serious, these are a group of serious young dudes in this Free Officers Movement to even have this idea. Could you imagine a group of people coming together to say, yo, we're going to go to the White House and we're going to kick Joe Biden up out the seat and we're going to dethrone him and we're going to take his position. Could you imagine a group of people in the U.S. doing some shit like that? That's how crazy that is. The reason behind Gaddafi's well thought out plan was on the basis of corruption, inequality, and dependence on foreign powers. So that's what he didn't like about what was going on in Libya at the time. On the day that Gaddafi and his team decided to overthrow the ruler, King Idris I was out of the country and couldn't get help to defend his throne. So he wasn't even nowhere to be found. At just 27 years old, Gaddafi quickly consolidated power, dissolved the monarchy, and declared Libya a republic with himself as a leader. And he did this in 1969. Hold on one second. Let me get some water because throat is a little dry. So yeah, Gaddafi was no joke, man. This dude was a straight up G from a very young age. Like, the plans and the vision that he had obviously was serious, you know? All right, so I'm back. So at just 27 years old, he overthrew King Idris I. So who was like Gaddafi's mentor, right? Like, who was the person? Because any true visionary always has somebody who they look up to, who they're like, you know what? I like what this person is talking about. So who was that person for Gaddafi? This is the man right here. This was that person for Gaddafi, like his mentor, somebody he really admired and looked up to because he liked this dude's ideologies. And this guy, his name is Gamal Abdel Nasser. So this is the person who Gaddafi essentially got his ideologies from and his ideas from. A lot of Gaddafi's ideologies came from his admiration for Gamal Abdel Nasser. Nasser was an Egyptian pan-Arab leader who fought against Western colonialism, and wanted independence from Western involvement. So we already can see, in a sense, what Gaddafi's vision was about. We can already see why he didn't like King Idris I and why he looked up to Nasser. It's pretty clear because he wasn't with that Western colonialism bullshit. He wasn't with that. He ain't like that. He ain't like people just running up in his country and just calling the shots. You know, Gaddafi wasn't with that type of vibe. Nasser played a significant role in the Egyptian Revolution of 1952, which led to the overthrow of the monarchy and the establishment of a republic. So Gaddafi already seen this dude do it before. So he watched this dude's steps. He learned from him as he was growing up. And later on, Gaddafi was able to do the same thing, essentially, by himself and with his crew. Growing up, Gaddafi would listen to Nasser on the radio and was largely influenced by this. Right here, you can see pictures of Gaddafi and Nasser together on multiple occasions. And obviously, they were very good friends. And Gaddafi liked this dude. Gaddafi had a lot of respect for dude because he like, yo, this dude is a G. This dude ain't no punk. You know what I'm saying? So Gaddafi was like, if I'm going to look up to anybody, it's going to be somebody who got some type of balls. You know what I'm saying? That's what Gaddafi was thinking. He like, hell, I'm going to follow you, King Idris. You ain't talking about shit. You ain't about nothing. Hell, I'm follow you for. That's what Gaddafi was thinking. So Muammar Gaddafi's reign. Let's talk about this now. We're getting into the nitty gritty now. We're getting into the nitty gritty. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I would really appreciate that, especially if you comment and let me know your thoughts. I would appreciate that. Share your insights on this topic if you have information on this. Muammar Gaddafi's reign. Gaddafi ran Libya from 1969 to 2011. So he ran Libya for 42 years. Big dog for 42 years straight. Runner, a big dog. They call him, they say he is a dictator. He published his own book called The Green Book in 1975, where he outlined his political philosophy. He also laid out a societal and cultural structure for the people of Libya to follow. Yo, this dude damn near made his own Bible, gave it to the people. Like, yo, this is how we should live. That's what he did. He published a book in 1975 called The Green Book. This dude ain't no joke, man. This dude, this is a dude who, he ran Libya with an iron fist. You know, he was real hands-on with stuff. But based on the evidence and the facts that I've researched, it sounds like he really cared about the people's well-being, which is opposite to what they really want you to think. He had a revolutionist vision where he wanted to unify the Africans and the Arabs. He wasn't the kind of leader to give into the West's influence and coercion. He had a lot of pride and wanted to see Africa become a superpower, as he believed that Africa should no longer allow Western nations to pimp them out for their natural resources. So Gaddafi was like, yo, this is our oil, man. I mean, can you really blame the dude? If you have something that's yours and is in your possession and it belongs to you, would you be happy if like some bully came on your block and just started extorting you for what you own? Would you like that? Would you be okay with a bully coming up to you and just taking your shit? I don't think anybody would really like that. So Gaddafi wasn't having that. Gaddafi wasn't with that. And I don't know why people think that's so outrageous to be the way he was. Like, if you own something and it belongs to you, and I come up to you and I just take majority of your shit, you're not going to be mad? You're not going to try to defend what's rightfully yours? You telling me you're not going to defend what's rightfully yours? Come on. He didn't like that Libya's oil revenues were benefiting foreign corporations more than the Libyan people. Like, I mean, duh. Like, let's be real. Let's be real. Let's be real about shit. Let's call a spade, man. Let's not act like We don't know why the dude was upset. We don't know why he wanted to run things this way. Muammar Gaddafi's reign continued. Let me make sure that's correct. Under Gaddafi, Libya became the first developing country to secure a majority share of the income from its own oil production. The first developing country to secure a majority share of the income from its own oil production. This was the first time this ever happened for Libya. Let's be clear on that. This was the first time that Libya ever had most of the money from their own oil coming back to them. Other Arab African countries loved this idea and started to follow in Gaddafi's footsteps. Gaddafi was a revolutionist. He had a socialist view of how society should be and was not in favor of capitalism or communism. So he wasn't really in favor of capitalism like that, especially for a country like Libya, because they were more like a third world country. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like the US, who had a lot of power already for a long time. And Libya was trying to develop themselves. Libya was trying to find their strength when Gaddafi came into office, or came into power, I should say. He believed that a socialist structure would be the only way that a third world country would have a fighting chance against bigger and more economically prosperous nations. So that's why he had a socialist approach, because he saw that as being really the only opportunity, is by him helping all of the people, all of the citizens of Libya, by kind of sharing the wealth. That's what he believed. But by no stretch of the imagination was he a perfect man. Gaddafi would get his military to publicly torture and kill those who opposed him. This was his way of setting an example. So Gaddafi was wild, man. If you came against a Gaddafi, he chose violence. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you were rebelling against his regime, and if you were really coming against him, he would publicly get you murdered, killed, tortured, whatever it was, to instill fear in other people, to say, look, don't mess with me. To me, in my opinion, I think this was really one of his mistakes, his big mistakes that he made, because I'm not saying that you can just form a rebellious group and go at the United States. You can't just form a rebellious group and protest every single day against the president of the United States. Trust me, they would lock your ass up, and they would go as far as getting rid of your ass. But by the time they spin the story in America, by the time they get rid of your ass and spin the story to the media, they going to say that you choked on an egg or some shit like that. That's the difference between how the US would handle the situation versus how Gaddafi handled the situation. And I think this was one of his biggest mistakes, was him publicly showing that how he killed people who came against him, because what that would create is enemies within his country, where, yeah, you have people who fear you, but there's also people who hate you because they see what you did to their family. You know what I'm saying? So there's that too. Hold on one second. Let me just pause this for a second. Yeah, so I really feel that that was Gaddafi's downfall, was him being so publicly brutal. He could have gotten the same results, but doing things a little bit more discreetly, doing things a little bit more on the low key. Because I'm not saying that the US would never get rid of somebody who's rebelling the government. You can't just think you're going to put together a powerful group and try to rebel the government in the US. You'd be a fool to think that. So they have ways of doing the same thing Gaddafi was doing, but they're not going to make it publicly known exactly what they did. They're not going to tell the people the truth. They're not going to show the people the truth in the US. You get what I'm saying? So they're more strategic about it, to where in the US, they'd rather mislead the masses, to where the masses never really know what actually happened to the person. All we know is that they passed away and they have a reason for why it happened. Oh, they choked on an egg. Some person came up to them and shot them. out of the blue for no reason, things like that. And they'll have a whole story about that. So the people in the US would never suspect that the government actually did it. You get what I'm saying with the differences? So I think that was one of the biggest mistakes that Gaddafi made. Although he helped Libya immensely, he still created many enemies within Libya and outside of Libya as well. Yeah, because he was really just torturing anybody who rebelled against him. You know, he was like brutal when it came to that. Like if you really came against him and you were planning to overthrow or assassinate him in Libya, Gaddafi will get you taken care of and make sure he sets an example out of you. What did Gaddafi do that made him a threat? What did Gaddafi do that made him a threat? This is very important. This is very important. All that I'm about to talk about right now, make sure to pay close attention, because this is kind of the juice right here. This is the juice right here. This information is the juice. This is the nitty gritty right here. 300 to freedom, baby. What did Gaddafi do that made him a threat? He was planning to make a unified African currency backed by gold, which would have crushed the US dollar system. I mean, Gaddafi was a true visionary, man. He was creating a currency backed by gold. Let me remind you, the US dollar is no longer backed by gold. The US dollar is no longer backed by gold. There's no true, real substance behind the US dollar. Behind the US currency, there's nothing backing it. All that piece of paper is that we call money in the US is like a promissory note. But essentially, the banking system in America thrives off of creditors and people being in debt. That's essentially what's going on in America. So Gaddafi was doing things more in the real way of how the money is supposed to be backed. When you back your money with gold, with something of real value, then that means that the paper money has real value backing it. America's US dollar, to be real with you, doesn't have real value backing it. What they have is a strong military so that they could force their weight around and bully and get their way and stuff like that. In the next video, what I'm actually going to talk about in the next presentation that I do is we're going to talk about the US dollar system and why it's so powerful. I think that's important to understand, because you would understand a lot more of what's going on, what was going on with why Gaddafi was such a huge threat to America. Gaddafi was working on making a unified African military more like the African NATO. He suggested that African economies should take full control of their minerals, as was the case with Libya. They had full control of their oil. So he was on some real CEO like, yo, we don't want y'all meddling in our business over here. We good. We got oil. We good. You know, that's kind of how Gaddafi was. We don't need y'all involved with us. Mind y'all business, America. Why y'all over here? What the fuck y'all doing over here? This is our oil. He stopped foreign countries from having their hands in Libyan pockets. So you could only imagine how this angered Western nations, is the fact that he kind of was blocking them off from being able to suck the economic wealth out of Libya and reap the benefits of the oil. So you can imagine why they really didn't like this dude. He was planning to make a replica of the World Bank for Africa, freeing the continent from debts. What made Gaddafi a threat continued. He started creating a pan-African hard currency called the gold dinar, which was backed by gold reserves. And this is what I think the main reason for them wanting to get rid of him really was his vision to create this currency called the golden dinar, because he had real gold backing it. You know what I'm saying? Like, they really had the substance, the actual valuable, tangible gold bars. They had it in Libya. He advised the rest of Africa to sign up and start trading amongst themselves with it. So this would keep the wealth in-house. So he understood that. He understood how to strengthen the African currency and how to really make Africa a superpower. Gaddafi refused to sell Libyan oil in dollars. Therefore, the US Zionists labeled him a terrorist and decided to strategically assassinate him. Him refusing to sell the Libyan oil in dollars was a real blow to the Western nations, because if he sold it in the golden dinar, which is the African currency, what that would do would automatically cause America and Western nations like Europe and stuff like that to have to buy the oil from Libya in the African currency, which would have been really detrimental to the US dollar and would have been detrimental to the euro, because it would have gave a lot of strength to this African currency that Gaddafi was working on. He was an anti-imperialist. What's an anti-imperialist? An anti-imperialist is someone who opposes imperialism, which is the policy of extending a country's power and influence through colonization, military force, or other means. So Gaddafi was a straight G, man. He was like, man, I understand that y'all supposed to be the big bad wolf over there in America and NATO. Y'all supposed to be big and bad, but we ain't trying to hear all of that, man. I really don't care about all that. That's kind of how Gaddafi was. He was like, man, I ain't hearing that, bro. Fuck all that. We got oil over here. It's worth a lot of money. We know y'all need it. We know y'all want it, but we gonna control how this shit is being pushed out. That's how Gaddafi was thinking. And to be honest, I can't really blame the man. If something belongs to you, I believe you have a right to say how you want it to be dispersed and how you want it to be distributed. I believe you have that right. That's just me personally. I don't think that this makes this man crazy or brutal just because he wants ownership of their natural resources. You think somebody could just come to America? If we had mad oil as a natural resource here, you think somebody could just come to America and bully us out of the oil that we have? I mean, let's be real. Why should they allow you to do it to them? Excuse me. What would be the motive for getting rid of Gaddafi? Gaddafi was killed because of his ideas and intentions for an African gold-backed currency and doing away with the petrodollar. So this is my opinion. Based on the research that I've done and what I found on the internet, I think that this is the reason why he was killed, was because really mainly the currency thing. In my opinion, it was all about oil, money, and power, not humanitarianism. See, the United States, they wanted to spin the story like, oh, we're going over there to protect the citizens. We're going over there as humanitarians because we don't like the violence and the killings going on in Libya. We think that Gaddafi is such a brutal dictator and he's very, very violent towards his people. That's why we're going into Libya and we got to protect those people. See, that's the propaganda that the US shared with people. They used the news to paint Gaddafi as this just crazy tyrannical dictator, which I'm not saying he was perfect, but they exaggerated it to the point where it poisoned the minds of a lot of the people who were looking on, who was watching what was going on, because the U.S. was making it seem like they wanted to protect the people. They're all about the citizens. They want to save lives. And that's kind of the guy, that's kind of the portrayal, what they wanted to convey. But do you really think that was the honest truth? Do you think the U.S. and these Western nations really wanted to go into Libya and send their military jets and send their armies into Libya? Do you really think the purpose of it was to protect the Libyan people? Do you really think that? You think some other country could come into America? Look at us. We going through shit over here in America. They nickel and dime us every single way that we turn. They charging us money for this. They charging us money for that. They adding interest on this, adding interest on that. You think another foreign country could come in here and say they're protecting the American citizens from the government and America would be okay with it and allow it to go down? Hell no, they're not allowing that. They're not allowing that. So why is it right for them to do it to Libya? Something to think about. Gaddafi wanted to unite African countries through a gold-based currency, which would make them less reliant on the US dollar. I'm going to say that again. Gaddafi wanted to unite African countries through a gold-based currency, which would make them less reliant on the US dollar. He also wanted to create a unified African military and provide one passport to all Africans. So single passport, single military, single currency. Come on, man. This dude was really, this is what you call a visionary right here. This is what you call a dude who's going to get your people out the trenches. Shit. If Gaddafi was still alive, man, can you come to America and run it? He ultimately wanted to unify Africa, which would have made Africa a powerhouse continent that would have become richer than the US and their allies. If Gaddafi was successful in establishing the gold dinar currency, it would have forced the US and other, it would have forced the US and other countries like Europe to have to purchase oil in the African currency, which would have strengthened Africa's currency and weakened the US dollar, Asian currencies, and the euro. So it was pretty clear of why they would want to get rid of this dude. You know, it's not like rocket science. If you have just somewhat of a critical brain, you will be able to see this and ask these kinds of questions and be like, hold on, wait, was this dude really this like demon like they're trying to portray him to be, or was there more to the story? Was there something else of value that other nations wanted from Libya? Gaddafi's plans would have ultimately put an end to neo-colonialism. What's neo-colonialism? It's the use of economic, political, cultural, or other pressures to control or influence other countries, especially former dependencies. Forever Blessed by Jada's Crete is out now. Nurses and Doctors by Jada's Crete is out now on all streaming platforms. Make sure you go get that. Make sure you go stream that. Little brief intermission right there. How did Libyans benefit from Gaddafi's rule? So we're going to go into all of the ways that Gaddafi actually benefited Libyans. This is how he benefited his people. Electricity was free for all Libyan citizens. There was no interest on loans. Having a home was considered a human right in Libya. All newlyweds in Libya received $50,000 by the government to buy their first apartment. So he was also fighting against homelessness. He didn't like homelessness. That's why he made having a home a human right. Education and medical treatments were very cheap in Libya, if not free. Before Gaddafi, only 25% of Libyans were literate, but today 83% can read. Should Libyans want to take up a farming career, they would receive farming land, a farming house, equipments, seeds, and livestock to kickstart their farms all for free. If Libyans couldn't get the education they needed, the government would fund them to go abroad. If a Libyan buys a car, the government subsidizes 50% of the price. So they pay a part of the price for the car. The price of petrol in Libya was only 14 cents. Libya had no external debt, and its revenues amounted to $150 billion, which are now frozen globally. So these dudes ain't even have debt when he was in power. They had money. They was getting rich. One second. Libya had money. Libya had money. They had mad gold. They had mad gold in reserves. What you talking about? They had real gold backing their money. They wasn't just talking about it. They was walking the walk under Gaddafi. Libya had right. All right. I already said that already. Let's go next. Let's go. Let's continue. Let's keep pushing. How Libyans benefited from Gaddafi's rule once again. If a Libyan was unable to get employment after graduation, the state would pay the average salary of the profession as if he or she was employed until employment is found. Does this sound like a bad guy? Does this sound like a person that don't care about their people? You tell me. Let me know in the comments. Let me know in the comments. Is this these benefits? Does this sound like a bad guy? A portion of every Libyan oil sales was credited directly back to the bank accounts of all Libyan citizens. So that's a form of socialism right there. A mother who gives birth to a child received $5,000 US. 25% of Libyans had a university degree. So at this time when Gaddafi was ruling, people were going to college more. They were going to school more. They had access to education. So the people were getting smarter. They were learning more. They were thriving when it came to academics, not just economically growing, but they were thriving academically. Gaddafi carried out the world's largest irrigation project, known as the Great Man-Made River Project, to make water readily available to Libyan citizens throughout the desert country. Imagine that. This dude was creating a massive river where clean water was running through, because a lot of the people, because clean water and water in general was kind of hard to come by in the desert area of Libya. You know, it's a lot of desert over there. And what Gaddafi did was he created a whole river project for the simple fact of making sure that his people could have water. Imagine that in a country like Libya and in Flint, Michigan, over here in the United States. I don't know. From what I've last heard, they can't even get clean water in Flint, Michigan, in the United States, in the most powerful country in the entire world. They got people over here not getting clean water. And this guy, Gaddafi, in a developing country, was creating a man-made way for his people to get clean water constantly. Come on, man. Come on, man. They painting the picture. They twisting the story. Somebody's lying. Somebody lying. Somebody lying. Quick question. Does your country do this for you? Does the US do this for us? Something to think about. Something to think about. Now, moving on. Gaddafi's doing all of this, but he's making Western nations more and more angry. Even within Libya, there's a lot of rebel groups forming and fighting and opposing Gaddafi and his regime. Even though he was doing all of this good, he still created a lot of enemies within Libya somehow. And I have reason to believe that's from the propaganda that America was sharing with the world, as well as from the fact that Gaddafi would publicly get rid of people who came against his regime. I'm sure that this mustered up some hate in the heart of Libyan groups and rebels in Libya. So what tactics did NATO use to take down Gaddafi? You know, what tactics did the countries involved with America, for example, Canada, Europe, France, all of these countries, what did they use to take down Gaddafi? As you can see, this was like a newspaper right here, a newspaper covering showing when Gaddafi came to his demise, you know, when the rebels captured him and all of that stuff. In 2011, that happened. So what did NATO use to take down Gaddafi? NATO started the revolution and promoted propaganda to make it look like the people of Libya were under unsafe living conditions and tyrannical rule. But really and truly, NATO caused a lot of the bloodshed and lives lost in Libya in the early 21st century. So they used psychological warfare on the people of Libya, which caused a lot of chaos, caused a lot of separation, division. Remember what I said, their tactic is always divide and conquer. You have to understand it's the same play over and over again. The tactic is divide and conquer, because when you divide, you can conquer and you can control. If people are unified, which is what Gaddafi's vision was unification among Arabs, among African nations in Africa. If you are unified, you are stronger together than you are apart. And a lot of people don't understand this. So this is why I always say, I'm for the people, baby. I'm all about the people unifying, because I understand that if the people unify, if we come together, we will automatically live a better quality of life, all of us, because we're unified, we're stronger together, and you can't just make us do whatever you want. You can't just present a stupid idea, or you can't just continue to rob us and take advantage of us and continue to get rich on our backs. I understand that, and that's something also that Gaddafi understood. So that's why he was trying to unify Africa. He was trying to unify the Libyan people. But it was very hard because of the kind of propaganda that, you know, the the countries in NATO, they were sharing with the world, and people in Libya really, some people really started to hate Gaddafi from the news outlets that they were seeing going on in America. So we see how powerful propaganda is. We see what propaganda does to cause people to really go against their better judgment. We see it. You know, we see it. Like this video, comment, subscribe if you like what you're learning so far in this video. I would really appreciate that once again. It helps the algorithms get going and people to see my videos and people get to learn this information. The US and other nations achieved turning the Libyan people against their own government by promoting some lies, fake news, agendas, and encouraging region-wide democratic revolutions. In 2011, NATO seemed to have started the war and provided weapons to civilians, rebel fighters. This is my opinion, right? My opinion is that they were the one who instigated the riots and the revolution that was going on in Libya. That's my opinion, what I think that America did. I don't have any concrete, well, I do have, we're going to talk about this in a few right now in the next bullet point. So that's one of the proof and the evidence right there. While riots were going on, the US, the British, and European nations were dropping bombs on Libya to further assist in the capture of Gaddafi under the guise of protecting the citizens. So literally, they're saying it was to protect the citizens, but really and truly, when these NATO countries came, they were dropping bombs, and even civilians and innocent people were getting killed. They don't talk to you about that part. They don't never say that, right? They don't never say that. So even before this, for years, there were times when America and Libya battled against each other, when America came to Libya and they dropped bombs before. And one year, I forget the exact year, but there was a year when America dropped bombs on Libya and Gaddafi's adopted daughter was killed. Now, this made Gaddafi furious. He was pissed off about this. So in revenge, what Gaddafi did years later was, there was a plane that was, I believe, leaving from Europe. And that plane, let me just look it up really quick, just to make sure. I want to make sure my information is correct. So let me look it up real quick just to make sure that what I'm about to say is a fact. Because even earlier, way before 2011, obviously America and Libya was going back and forth. Okay, I'm gonna find out right now how Gaddafi retaliated when they killed his oh, sorry. It's saying hold on. One second. Because y'all can't miss this. Y'all got to get this information. Y'all can't miss this. Y'all can't miss this. Okay, so this is what happened. So it was the bombing of Pan Am Flight 103 over Lockerbie, Scotland. This happened in 1988. They say that it was carried out by Libyan agents, right? Which resulted in the deaths of 270 people, including 189 Americans. So the plane had mostly Americans on it, and they found out that Libyan agents were actually behind this bombing, right? So you can understand they were going back and forth for a while, and this is what really got Libya and the US to kind of hate each other. But let's be clear, the US is a much more equipped country, a much more equipped nation than Libya. They have way better military, they have way more resources, they have way more, you know, just better technology than Libya in totality. You know what I'm saying? So let's be clear on that. It's not like Libya really has a fighting chance against the US. So tensions been brewing between Libya and the US, right? Like they've been wanting smoke with each other, and the US was just strategically planning on how to cause Gaddafi's demise. So remember Hillary Clinton's email scandal back in 2016? Do y'all remember that? Y'all remember when Hillary Clinton, they found those emails on her? Well, a highly reliable source submitted information on her emails into WikiLeaks. And if you don't know, from my knowledge, WikiLeaks is owned by Julian Assange. WikiLeaks is owned by Julian Assange. And the crazy part is Julian Assange is a guy that they have in jail today. Right, yes. WikiLeaks is owned by Julian Assange. And basically what WikiLeaks is a website where you're able to anonymously submit evidence. So you can be from wherever in the world. You could be in the military. You could be in the government. You can be in a high place in politics. It don't matter who you are. What the WikiLeaks website allowed people to do was to just submit highly sensitive, highly discreet, highly private information into the website and make it public knowledge to the people. So because of this, because Julian Assange created this, they put him in jail. He's in jail up to this day, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. He's in jail and he can't have any visitors and stuff. It's just crazy. It's just crazy. So that's a whole nother topic for another day. But I did do a video a long time ago talking about Julian Assange. So her emails, what that person submitted, it showed her emails. And her emails, Hillary Clinton's emails, revealed that she mentioned nothing. It revealed that she mentioned nothing about the safety of Libyan citizens, but rather it was about preventing Gaddafi from creating the gold dinar hard currency in Africa. That's what it was all about. She didn't mention nothing about caring about the people of Libya in the emails. So what was it really about? Was it about protecting the lives of Libyan people, or was it about being threatened by what Gaddafi was planning to do? What do you think? Drop a comment below. Let me know what you think, because I can tell you what I think, but let me know what you think. Because her emails, when they saw her emails, which was submitted into WikiLeaks, it had nothing to do with protecting the people of Libya. It was more about the 140 plus tons of gold reserves that Libya was holding, which brings me to the next bullet point. Hillary learned of the 140 plus tons of gold reserves that Libya was holding in their banks. So at this time, Libya wasn't broke. They was coming up under Gaddafi. They were improving at an exponential level under Gaddafi. Let's be clear, economically speaking, they were improving at a great level. So she demanded that Obama make it a priority to target Gaddafi as soon as possible. That's what Hillary Clinton did. This was the closest that Africa got to unifying. The West intervened and derailed their plans over money, oil, and power. Let's call a spade a spade. Let's just be honest. I ain't here to lie to you. If you want somebody to lie to you, don't come to my channel. My channel is not for telling you fake news and false information. My channel is going to reveal to you the truth of situations, of history, and events. So if you don't want to be here, this may not be for you. Maybe you don't like the truth, but I'm going to tell you the truth. Fuck that. I don't care. I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm going to tell you the truth of what's going on, what's been going on. Rebel groups were forming all over Libya. With the help of NATO, these rebel groups protested and rioted all throughout Sirte and Tripoli, showing their anger towards Gaddafi. Do you think it's possible that the US and Western countries could have paid and armed terrorist groups to rebel against Gaddafi? I'm just asking a question. What do you think? So in 2011, they captured Gaddafi. They captured him in 2011, and you can see here's a newspaper article on what happened when the rebels captured him. Damn, Gaddafi, they got my mans. They got him. They got him. The demise of Gaddafi. Towards the end of his reign, Gaddafi tried to get back on the West's good side by offering support to the US after 9/11 and by giving up his nuclear weapons. He even started to have diplomatic meetings with Western nations and opened up Libyan and business for Western investment, but it was too late. So towards the end, he did start to comply more. Gaddafi did start to try to work with Western nations, but he wasn't trying to stop that currency. He had no plans and no intentions on preventing the golden dinar from coming to life. He was pushing for that shit. He was like, oh, nah, we about to unify over here in Africa. It's up. Gaddafi was like, yo, it's up. I don't give a damn what they talking about over there. Yeah, we could talk and be cool in front at these meetings, but it's up. When I go back home to Libya, it's up. That's how Gaddafi was. He was like, yo, it's up. I don't care what they talking about in these meetings. It's up. We gonna make this currency, this gold-backed currency over here, because we already know what it's about to do. America already know what it's about to do. France already know what we about to do. You feel me? That's how Gaddafi was giving up. He was like, they scared. They scared because they see what's about to happen. Gaddafi was like, it's up. It's up. It's up. In 2011, when Gaddafi tried to flee from Sirte, a NATO military plane dropped a bomb which struck the convoy that he was in. Gaddafi was then wounded and dragged into a sewage drain until rebels found and shot him dead. So they found him in a hole, a sewer hole, basically the sewer, and they killed him. A young guy, or young rebel in Libya, shot and killed him. In my honest opinion, I think NATO and the US wanted to get rid of Gaddafi mainly because of the African currency he was going to set in motion. And why do I say this? Because look at Libya today. Let's go to the next slide. This is the reason why I say this. Based on Hillary's emails, right? Her secret emails that people found in 2016, and the owner of WikiLeaks, they put into jail because he was helping people get the truth, not this propaganda bullshit. Julian Assange came out with WikiLeaks because he was helping people get the truth, not this propaganda bullshit. Life for Libyans before Gaddafi was assassinated. Libyans say life was just fine in Libya under Gaddafi's reign. Fuel was readily available, electricity never went out, and the streets of Libya were safer. He protected the people of Libya because he was feared. Like I said before, he wasn't a perfect guy. He wasn't a perfect dude. Show me a perfect politician. I've never seen one. A damn sure ain't never seen none in the US of A. But show me a perfect politician. At the time of Gaddafi's assassination, Libya had the highest GDP per capita and life expectancy out of any other country in Africa. Let me say that again. At the time of Gaddafi's assassination, Libya had the highest GDP per capita and life expectancy out of any other country in Africa. Y'all not hearing me. Y'all not understanding the significance of this statistic right here. How could he have been a bad ruler if he literally was allowing people to live longer? People were living longer under his rule. How could he have been as tyrannical, as demonic, as barbaric as they were trying to make him seem? How is it possible? Men lie, women lie. Them numbers don't lie. These numbers don't lie. Men lie, women lie, numbers don't lie. Africans from various countries say Gaddafi was a good man who loved his people. That's what a lot of Africans say today. If you speak to a lot of Africans today, especially Libyans, a lot of them say he was a good man. He wasn't as bad as they thought he was. Nowhere near as bad, because they're looking at how they are today. Libya was growing economically and was growing their economics and infrastructure at a fast rate during Gaddafi's reign. So we're almost at the last slide. Almost done. We're almost done. What has happened to Libya since Gaddafi's passing? And you could research all of this stuff yourself. You could look this up. I'm not making this up. I'm not making this information up. I will take this computer and I will fling it over the damn balcony if I'm making up this information. This is not made up information. This is factual information that you could go see for yourself. The country is bomb wrecked, torn apart by militias, civil unrest, and Islamic gangs fighting in Libya today. There's been an increase in political instability. The future of Libya is uncertain. Libya is nowhere near as economically prosperous as it once was. Nowhere near it. Some even go as far as saying that Gaddafi was the greatest leader that Libya ever had. Why? Because Gaddafi wasn't taking no shit. Gaddafi wasn't just bending over for the US. Libya has become a land of lawlessness and political warfare, all while struggling economically. After assassinating Gaddafi, the Western countries did nothing but left chaos and internal warfare without any alternative for the Libyan people. So I have a question for you. If this was all about helping the Libyan people and the citizens of Libya, why, after they killed Gaddafi, why hasn't the US cared about the Libyan people? They're still experiencing very similar, worse situations today. The citizens are worse off today. So why America isn't over there meddling in their business trying to protect the people? If it was all about humanitarianism, if it was all about keeping the people safe, if it was all about protecting the people from Gaddafi killing them, then why today, when they need the help more than ever before, why is America not involved? Huh? I'm just asking a legitimate question. Maybe you could drop a comment below and let me know. Why is America not involved with Libya today when today, in this era, Libya is far worse off than they were under Gaddafi's rule? Why is America not over there involved, helping the citizens of people? Oh, it's all about humanitarianism. It's all about protecting the people, right? Why are you not over there? Get your ass over there and help the people. Many 2011 rebels who were against Gaddafi say that they thought things would be better once Gaddafi was captured. However, they acknowledge that things actually got worse since his passing. People who were rebelling against Gaddafi back in over 10 years ago are now saying that when they look at things, they're like, damn, Gaddafi was actually holding shit down. That's what they're saying. Gaddafi was actually helping. Gaddafi was actually doing the right thing. That's what they're saying now. They kind of feel sorry. They kind of feel bad. A lot of them. You can look it up for yourself. I might pull up a YouTube video real quick just to show you. There was severe divisions and fighting that continued to go on between West and East Libya. That's what's going on. So, as I end this presentation, the question remains. Maybe you can answer it. Maybe you watching this video right now can answer this. The question remains. The elephant in the room question remains. If the U.S. cared so much about the well-being of Libyan citizens, then why have they left them in turmoil for years after Gaddafi was assassinated? Why have they left them in turmoil? Let me go to a video. Let me see a video on YouTube. Let me see if I can find a video on YouTube asking about because I saw a couple videos I was watching and they had people talking about what Libya was like since over. All right, here's one right here. We can watch this one right here. See that? You see that? You see that? You see that? You see that? See that? Let me see if there's let's go to it. Let's go to one more video. Let's watch one more video. See that? Let's look at this one right here. Let's look at what she's talking about. There's so many of these videos where you can see that Libya is not better off today. You know what I'm saying? Where y'all at, America? Where y'all at? Where y'all at, America? Why y'all not over there? You said it's about the citizen people, right? Right? Where y'all at? Y'all wasn't dealing with that when Gaddafi was there. Y'all wasn't dealing with that. See what I'm saying? So the question remains: if the U.S. cared so much about the well-being of Libyan citizens, then why have they left them in turmoil for years after Gaddafi was assassinated? That's my take-home question to ask you guys. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know your thoughts on this topic. I would love to see how you feel, what you're thinking about this topic. Also, drop a comment below if there's any other topics that you would like me to discuss in presentation form on my channel, and I'll be happy to discuss it. You already know I'm all about the people. 300 to freedom, baby. See you guys in the next video. Peace.